So you just got your first miniatures painted and you're ready to start your first game. But wait a minute, these are shooting models. And they're within range of each other. Whoever goes first is just going to massacre the other side. What we really need is something to block the shooting, like some terrain. But if you're just starting off, you don't have terrain. You might be able to use like a soda can, or maybe like some books. But the problem is, these books aren't really super engaging. They're not like, they're not very immersive. Although I'm sure if you read it, it'll be immersive. So what you're going to want to get eventually is some actual terrain. But the thing is, actual terrain that you buy can be pretty expensive. And terrain that you make from scratch can be very time consuming and probably uses skills you don't have yet if you're just beginning. However, there is a solution. What if I told you you can scratch build terrain that is fast, easy, cheap, and looks very good? It's just all the benefits. Well, that's what I'm going to show you guys today. In this video, we're covering pre-made boxes. So you might be wondering what the big deal about these pre-made boxes is. Well, they're not like super extraordinary or anything. It's just a very easy way to expand or even start your terrain collection. Let me just get these set up here. Oh yeah. Plus, I think they look pretty good. Especially when you set them up, nice fashion like this. Set down some miniatures. But yeah, I think these look a lot better than just soda cans and books. So, yeah, pre-made boxes, I mean, the best thing about them is that they are so fast and so easy. Anyone who paints miniatures can make pre-made boxes into a terrain piece. Look at this. This is the same thing. It's the same exact box. But obviously this one looks like a Christmas box or something, and this one looks like an actual terrain piece. The only difference is that I just took a 2-inch wide strip of like I think it was a box that a shirt came in or something, but it could be cereal box or whatever, Eggo waffle box maybe. Although that sort of has texture to it. Anyway, I just cut a bunch of 2-inch strips and I cut those into vertical strips and I just eyeballed them. Like I couldn't be bothered to measure. I was just snipping away. I was like, these look about the same width. And I think they might be a millimeter, like maybe half a millimeter difference in thickness. It doesn't matter, or width. But yeah, it's very simple. I just took a dry brush, so I painted it dark gray. I took a dry brush and I hit it with a dry brush and you can see the individual texture marks. And that's just free weathering. A lot of people try to weather stuff with washes, but that's not going to work on pre-made boxes. You got to, break out some not wash, some non-flow aid stuff, and actually use some techniques. If you go down this route, you might actually become a better miniature painter and weatherer. But anyway, yeah, you can modify them, or you can choose not to modify them. This is a, whatchamacallit, a Frango box. Fandango, Fango, Mango. And this one actually has some stuff I'm storing on the inside. But anyway, this is 1 inch tall. It's a little bit warped, but the cool thing about this one is that all this detail you see is just painted on. And it's not even that well painted, to be honest. I actually put a mesh over it, and then I sprayed... so I actually painted the top exactly like this. I put a lot more of the light gray highlights on, though. Then I put masking tape and a mesh over it, and I spray painted it black, leaving these black diamond square things. And then I came back in afterwards, and like the masking tape like tore up the paper, so I had to like re-put down the dark gray and stuff. And then I freehanded all these lines. I tried to fix the the black dots wherever I could. I didn't fix them super well. Anyway, but yeah, the cool thing about this is that I didn't do any physical modifications. It's all paintwork. This one, I did very little paintwork, and it's just the most basic of physical modifications. This is super fast, super easy, and these are all boxes I found. This one is actually a box that a bunch of cat food came in. You can see the indentations from the cat food cans. And the ribbing, again, you can see the ribbing on this underside. That ribbing was also on the top, so I took a Kleenex box, or it could be any tissue box, and I cut them into little sections and just covered the whole top side, and then I painted it. And by the way, these stripes are just, these hazard stripes are just free-handed. I did put down a sticky note, which is about 3 inches by 3 inches, and I just used that as a guide for the middle line, and I just like free-handed the other ones, and it's not perfect, but I think it looks good. It's supposed to be like a cargo elevator, and then the hazard stripes are to tell you like where the edge of the elevator is. It's inspired by the elevators you see on like aircraft carriers, I guess. But anyway, the side, I didn't think I needed to cover up the ribbing. It looks like metal sheeting, right? The ribbing on the side looks like metal sheeting. This is all just matte gray craft paint. So anyway, I think pre-made boxes look pretty good. And you know what? The cool thing about this is that you can add as much or as little to it as you want. But this is a really good way to get a terrain collection started. If you just want to play, like, I mean, if you want to play games, if you want to play miniature games, you're probably going to want to focus on painting the actual miniatures first, which means you're going to have very little time left over for painting or like scratch building whatever the terrain. This is easier to paint than terrain you buy, and it's way cheaper. The only issue is actually finding these sturdy boxes, which can be a bit difficult. Let's see, I have a checklist of things I want to talk about. Let's see. Boop, boop, boop. Great for beginners, new to the hobby, less time, that to more minis, said that. Why pre-made? Okay, let's talk about why the boxes are pre-made. So here, I have a Gundam box. No, there's not a Gundam inside. I have a bunch of stuff. But in here, I have these things. Now, these things I made for, like, fantasy terrain, and I think it's going to look really good once it's painted. It's about the same thing as this thing I showed off earlier. It's the same kind of thing. This is insulation foam, this is foam core, it's the same thing. But the issue with this is that it's made of individual pieces of foam core. Now, this is dollar store foam core, and this whole box is probably like $3 of foam core max. It's super, super cheap. But the problem with this is that I had to assemble it, and as you might be able to see, there's a little bit of a lip right here. It's not 100% flush with the ground, and that's because I assembled them upside down. Because like human error is always going to creep into your builds, no matter how perfect you try to be. You have to take strategies that adjust for human error and allow you to come up with something good without having to be some kind of supernatural robot, because we're not. We're all humans. So either the bottom of it's going to be not 100% flush, or the top's going to be not 100% flush, and I just chose to have the top down because I wanted this middle piece to be flush with the tops of all these sides. So I basically glued it like this, so I knew that the middle piece would be flat against the table, just like all the sides are. Anyway, the thing I want to talk about here is that this piece, like, it's slightly wobbly, just slightly, not too much. There's a little bit of a flex in there. The foam is flexible, so it sits pretty darn flat, but even if you get this perfect, it's still going to be very time consuming. I spent almost no time making this thing. I just glued these things on the sides, and the thing is, like when you paint miniatures, base coating, some people find base coating fun. I do find it fun sometimes, but other times I just want to get through it so I can get to the highlighting and shading. It's very fun to put all the highlights and stuff on your miniatures and really make them look good. This guy, I was really looking forward to the volumetric shading as well as the detail work on the Tyranid head he's standing on. But anyway, that's sort of like what this is, but instead of painting, it's the build. I already have the basic build done. I just got to jump straight to the physical detailing, putting these little ribbed sections on. In my mind, this is supposed to be like a concrete like bunker or something. Not everything has to be made of metal, like not everything sci-fi is metal. A lot of it can be concrete. I think they have castles in 40K. 40K is like He-Man, but more serious. They got magic, they got swords, they got guns and spaceships and dragons and all that stuff. But the dragons will like steal your soul or something, I don't know. 40k is awesome. Anyway, yeah, so having pre-made boxes allows you to skip the whole hassle of having to assemble 4 walls and a roof, which can be very time consuming. These were very time consuming to make. I do have a jig. I'm definitely gonna like be using a hot wire foam cutter in the future. These were just hobby knife, and every single arch was hand drawn, which again, very time consuming. But these pre-made boxes, not time consuming at all. These are the fastest, like this and this, these two things are the fastest terrain pieces I ever made. I'm pretty sure. At least for the size. Like for that size, they are definitely, just closing my box here. They are definitely the fastest terrain pieces I ever made. So, next thing I want to talk about is storage. And I already sort of showed it to you with this thing, how there's like a bunch of stuff on the inside. But the nice thing about these pre-made boxes, get in there. There you go. About these pre-made boxes is that they can store things. So I have a whole bunch of scatter terrain inside this one, and this thing actually fell over. I don't have enough scatter terrain to actually fill this to the brim yet, but and I have some more pieces here, so I can just scatter this scatter terrain around. But anyway, yeah, the thing that one of the big downsides, there are two big downsides to pre-made boxes, and that's one, that you can't control the size or shape. What you find is what you find. But at the same time, limitations also breed creativity, so it is what it is. I probably wouldn't have made terrain pieces with these vertical things if I wasn't trying to detail up a basic box, so, you know. The other downside is that they take up a lot of space. It's like a solid volume. So one way to mitigate the volume they take up is to use them as storage, which is a plus side. I guess the fact that they store stuff being a plus sort of cancels out the minus of them taking up a lot of space. So in the end, they just take up a normal amount of space, because, I mean, you would probably gonna like have a container to store your scatter terrain anyway. So this way, you're sort of getting like two things in the same space. And you could probably even like use some of these boxes to store some of the other ones. This is a cat food, again, it's a cat food box, so it doesn't have a bottom. By the way, I would recommend not painting the bottoms of these boxes. If you have a box that has a lid in the bottom, I recommend not painting the bottom, because it's probably going to chip paint, rub off paint, all that stuff. It's going to make it very difficult for the thing to come out when the friction increases. So I'd recommend keeping the bottoms normal, and then only painting the top. And then also, I did have the bottom in here for this whole video so far, but I do recommend having the bottom out of the box when you're using it for gaming. It also makes it easier for cleaning up, I guess, so you can just like put these in here and then put the top on the box. All up to you. But I can straight up just use this cat thing like upside down as a way to store my other box components. And yeah, I am getting my fingers on the paint job on the underside, which is actually the top of the box, but it is what it is. I'd rather touch up. I would rather like the thing is, it's not hard to touch up a paint job. I think a lot of people are worried about chipping paint and stuff. For a miniature, if paint chips off, you just sand it and then you just reapply whatever coats it takes. If it's metallic, it can be a few coats, but if it's like if I chipped white off of this arrow, I just sand it and put down more white, and then it's good, pretty much. Like acrylic paint will stick to a sanded surface because there's actually something for it to grip onto, which makes fixing it really easy. And paper, like this whole thing is just nothing but a textured surface for paint to grip onto. So you can just like if I scratched or like took a hobby knife and scraped some of the paint off, I could just fix it. It's fine. I'd probably sand it and then repaint it. I'm not concerned about paint, about these hazard stripes coming off due to handling and using it as a transport. And you know what? Your transport for your terrain doubling as terrain is sort of that 2-in-1 you get with some of those old-fashioned playsets and stuff. Anyway. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is that while these boxes might look very basic, you really shouldn't judge the boxes by themselves, because their purpose is not to be a standalone terrain set. I mean, they definitely can be a standalone terrain set, but I think the real benefit is to combine them with other pieces of terrain so you can get a much more interesting looking setup. Like, for example, if you put these walls that are taller than the actual box, you get this defensible looking, well, look. You know, you can have these guys hiding behind here, and now they have like -1 to hit or some kind of cover rule or something. You can put like scatter terrain nearby. Maybe the scatter terrain is like a staircase that allows models to like go up this incline without having to pay for vertical movement. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. Boop-a-da-boop. Got some barrels. I'll put those over there. Basically, if you just add a whole bunch of extra little bits of terrain, you can make some really cool looking stuff with these boxes being the foundation. Like, this isn't a gimmick video. I'm going to keep using these boxes in the future because I think you can make some really cool stuff, some really cool 3D stuff with depth by adding these boxes. And by the way, I do have some detailed terrain that is also voluminous, like this piece, or this piece in my left hand was made from scraps. I think it looks pretty good. But this piece by itself took like 3 hours to make. And I'm not sure it's completely level. Does it wobble? Wobbles a tiny bit. So I do think it looks good. But yeah, these pieces took a long time to make. And to be honest, convex, voluminous surfaces, like these large things, these don't really help protect your miniatures from like shooting armies. In my opinion, like having walls or like L-shaped ruins is actually probably, I mean, if everyone uses L-shaped ruins, it's probably because they're effective for the game. But having these large volumes definitely looks a lot more interesting. Having this little plaza here is interesting. If a melee army wants to go in, they're going to have to like navigate around all this stuff. You can have walls in place to help protect from like shooting armies, or maybe you can have like a barrier. Let's see, do I have a barrier piece? I only have one painted barrier piece, but you can put something like this. So you can have your dudes chilling behind the barrier, and the shooting dudes are going to have to deal with that, or they're going to have to like move. But then that puts them closer to this path where they can be charged. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can do just by adding some depth to your layout. And I'm not saying it's going to be good for gameplay. I'm not very good at miniature games. I've lost like, I think all of my games playing one-page rules except for maybe the first one and one other one maybe. But I've lost like 80% of my one-page rule games. But it's still fun. I'm losing by a smaller margin every time I play. Except for that one time when I used buildings that had windows and my opponent was sending flames through the buildings. So he was basically mowing down my troopers with anti-infantry flamethrowers, and I couldn't do anything because I was getting a penalty to hit shooting through the building, but I didn't realize flamethrowers didn't have the penalty going through the buildings in one-page rules. So he basically was shooting as if the buildings weren't there. So it was like a one-way terrain thing. It's crazy, but hey, you know what? That's the fun of miniature wargaming. You find out stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep using these in the future. And they are way easier to make than these larger pieces of terrain, which do look cool. But these larger things of terrain, I'm not sure if I'm gonna make more of these in the future, because I sort of like having this very simple setup and maybe putting more of my time into the miniatures and not the terrain as much. Also, one thing before I get to where you can find your pre-made boxes that I want to touch on is that one nice thing about pre-made boxes is that they have very little detail, which means you can add as much detail as you want. I think I may have mentioned that before, but like for example, these hazard stripes on top of these things, or on top of those things, these little labels on top of these barrels I made. That's just painted on, and I used like a pen. I used like a felt tip pen to write that on. And I think for a few of these, I had to actually extend the white because I ran out of room. But one example of some freehanding I did on this piece is made of, it's all just cardboard, regular cardboard. The vents, yeah, they're made of cardboard, you can tell. But from a distance, they look fine. Anyway, the top is aluminum mesh. But I want to show you this console right here. This console is just a flat piece of square. It's a flat square piece of chipboard. It's like the stuff that like puzzle pieces and the backs of spiral notebooks are made of. I think Eric from Eric's Hobby Workshop uses them a lot. I don't know. He's the one who introduced me to it. But anyway, this is just a square. and I put like some pieces of armature wire down here to be like electrical cables. But as you can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. As you can see, it has a whole bunch of buttons and a screen on it, and that's all just painted on. It's as simple as draw a rectangle and then draw like an L shape of highlight on the corner. And like the thing is, if this was like an actual textured like screen or console, whatever, this was an actual like 3D computer terminal sculpt, I would still paint the screen that same gradient of green anyway. So like the thing is, whether the sculpt is there or whether it's a flat piece of generic like dirt cheap material, I was gonna put the effort into like making the terminal look good, regardless of how much texture or 3D sculptness it had. And the cool thing about this is that I'm not locked in. Like I said earlier, I'm not locked in to. I'm not committed to painting all those buttons. If I just wanted to paint a grid, or if I want to have a whole bunch of unique looking computer terminals, I can do that because it's just a flat thing. So like if, for example, if I wanted to have a computer terminal on the side of this thing, I could just paint it on. And like it could just be like, it could be like inset in the concrete wall. So maybe it's like in there. So that way, that way like the rain doesn't fall on it or something. But you could totally paint on computer terminals or like posters. Wait. Hold on 1 second. I got this piece. It's like I had a whole bunch of rust and stuff to it. But yeah, I just painted this poster on there just willy-nilly. It's my Space Marines custom chapter symbol. It's a variant of the Ultramarine symbol. But anyway, it's just fully painted on. If I didn't like it, I could just paint right over it and you'd never know. So yeah, painting on the details is sometimes less of a headache than actually sculpting them on. Because with all these panels, I was locked into painting these panels, and they do look good. But like this door is way too high. If I had painted the door on instead, I think I could have shortened it after once after it was built and I was already painting it. I could have shortened the door if it was just painted on. So, but I'm happy with some physical details like this garage door, which is just the same stuff as the roof, just turned sideways. It is nice to have some physical details, but it's also nice to have some details that aren't physical and you just paint them on yourself. Just wanted to mention that. So, where to get your pre-made boxes? Well, first of all, I just want to mention Gundam boxes. Now, I love using these to store all of my terrain, but I think they're just too flimsy to be used as pre-made boxes. You probably could, and they'd be fine, but you'd definitely have to sand the surface because it's way, way too shiny. You're going to have to sand the surface for paint to really adhere to it. All the other boxes I'm going to show you are not glossy like this. I mean, the nice thing about this gloss finish, it's not waterproof, but it's very water resistant. So like if you're holding this in the rain, it's going to be fine. It's going to be better than like an actual, like a normal cardboard box. Well, then again, corrugated cardboard has 2 layers, so. Anyway, I love storing stuff in Gundam boxes. I store all my sorted trading cards in Gundam boxes, but not for pre-made boxes. For wargaming terrain. Now, I did show off this box before, and here's the larger variant. I think cookies came in these, but I have no idea where these came from, to be honest. I just sort of happened upon them. As you do in life, you happen upon things. But these aren't exactly the same height, so that's definitely going to bother me. It is what it is. But yeah, basically, any kind of box that's made of there's nothing in it, so it's hard to take apart. Any kind of box that's made of a thicker material, that's like a bit more rigid, this is a lot more durable than the Gundam box. This, like anything like this is going to be fine. So like Kleenex box, cereal box is too thin, in my opinion, but you can use it if you want to. Here's a corrugated cardboard box, but this one's a bit thin. The corrugation's very hard to see because it's a very thin cardboard. Free advertising. But anyway, it opens up like this. So you could like store like dice or like anything in scattered terrain, whatever you want in here. Close it up. If you have data cards or any kind of miniature gaming supplement. And yeah, you know what? If you paint this, maybe add some panel lines to disguise these crevices here. And it'd be pretty hard to to tell that this is actually not a piece of wargaming terrain. That it's like, you know, that's originally just a box that something was shipped in. I forgot what was actually shipped in here. But yeah, yeah, I mean, basically, you paint something, and you'll never know what it used to be. You'll instead see what it currently is. So, you know, don't knock it till you try it. Just take a box. Maybe like this would probably have to be sanded a little bit too. You know, sand the edges especially. Paint it up. Pre-made box like paints up in like one painting session. You can build it and paint it in the same day. It's super fast, super easy. If you're gonna play a war game with someone like tomorrow or like, let's say 2 days from now, whatever, and you're like, oh crap, I don't have any terrain, I forgot about that. Pre-made boxes, got some lying around, make some easy, fast terrain. Even just painting a soda can is better than just having the actual label on there. You know, again, but you're gonna have to like sand the soda can, so. Anyway, let's get to the other pre-made boxes that you might actually be able to more easily find. Now, the first major contender I want to point out are these trading card boxes. You can see I have Magic the Gathering, I got a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh! Ones, I had Pokemon mixed, similar looking stuff. Anyway, some of these boxes I don't really want to turn into terrain because it just looks really cool. But these Legendary Collection boxes, I have all 5 of these Legendary Collection boxes. The first 2 Legendary Collections were originally binders, and then they got remade as these boxes when the third one came out, I think. And you know what? This actually does look really nice. I don't think I'm going to paint over this one. I'm not sure about the other ones. They came with these very thick paper playmats that had like hinges in the middle. Could show them off, show those off some other time, but I have those, so I don't really need, and those have larger versions of the box art. So like some of these have like cool looking box art, but I mean, I think I might just turn them into wargaming terrain. A friend of mine actually gave me their copy of Joey's World box. So, and this thing, let me see, boop, boop, boop. Do I have the other boxes on hand? There we go. So it's almost the same height as this other one. And all these are the same height. They're about 2 inches. I want to say these. Joey's World is closer to 2 inches than this other box. It's almost exactly 2 inches. So that works if you're measuring in inches. It works out very, like, almost perfectly. You know, just have a few of these. Might have to put an extra layer of paper down here and like weigh it down with a weight to make sure it's not as warped, because it's a little bit warped. But that's fine. It's just wargaming terrain. It doesn't have to be, you know, the best thing ever. This one has a little window in it, so if you actually cut this out, you could have a little, you add some more detail in there. Have like a sunken in section. If you want to have a rectangular hole in the top of your terrain and have like a grate, or like a descending staircase, or some pipes, it's a pre-cut hole. Nice. Anyway, I'm not sure if I'm going to turn those into terrain. Not the first one, but the other ones, I might. For Magic the Gathering boxes, so some of these I don't want to turn into terrain. And again, these are all just nice, thick, hardy boxes. I believe, I don't remember if it's the top or the bottom. Let me get a ruler. Let's see, is it the top or the bottom that's 3 inches? Okay, that's slightly more than 3 inches. Anyway, it's a little over 3 inches if you turn it on its side. All my sci-fi terrain is about 3 inches tall, so that's about the same height right there. But some of these, I actually really like the artwork, and I do store cards in some of these. Like, I have this plain-looking one here. I'm storing, let's see, my Union Arena cards. Boop de boop. I think that's a spoiler for a certain anime. But yeah, storing my anime-themed cards in this box. Got like Hunter x Hunter, Demon Slayer, Fullmetal Alchemist, I think Code Geass. Those are the ones I could find. I should really transfer those from this blank box into like one of my nicer, cooler looking ones. I got cards in this one too. Just like from when I used to play a lot of Magic, I just have a lot of random stuff in here. Some old Dragon Ball cards that, like, this game was discontinued when the Dragon Ball Super cards came out. This is made by Panini, the same company that also makes like sports cards. But yeah, this was alive for like 2 years, and then they just scrapped the whole game. So now I just have a bunch of cards that no one plays with ever. It felt sort of bad. Union Arena at least is still going on. Oh my god, dude, this box has these lips on the sides, and the modern boxes don't. So like, there's a risk of me like damaging the cards every time I put the box lid on. It's freaking terrible. But this box is like at least it's like 20 or 25 years old. It's at least 20 years old. No wait, I think it's like 10 plus years old. Never mind. I don't think it's 20. But anyway, I am rambling. Magic the Gathering makes a lot of these generic looking boxes now, and I have no problem turning this into terrain. The problem is that unlike the old boxes that just have a flat bottom and then like a little hole for the finger at the bottom, these are tilted, which looks a lot more sleek. But then when I take the top off, it's angled. It's on an angle. I don't like that. There you go. See? It's on an angle. I don't like that. One solution is to take cereal box and just glue it on the side. But again, then you're inviting imperfections. So it's really up to you. The Pokemon Elite Trainer boxes are even weirder. Boop de boop. They have this weird design on them, so I'm not sure if these will be great. Now, I would like to point out that you can always cut the sides. The ends seem to be the same height, so if I just like scored this with a hobby knife, I could probably cut this off, and then I'd have a box that sits flat. This particular one's my favorite Pokemon, so I'm not going to do that. But yeah, trading card boxes, not the best solution. But the thing is, I actually talked to one of the people who works at my local game store I go to for like miniature stuff, and I asked him, hey, I have a bunch of these extra like Fat Pack Magic the Gathering bundle boxes, whatever they're called, and would anyone be interested? And he gave me this non-verbal response of, and I'm like, okay, I get it. No one wants these things. Yeah, these things are like common trading cards. People throw them away. Most trading cards are just worth so little that people literally throw them away. Like I have a friend who threw away his Magic Bulk, and I was like, oh, by the way, he was talking about his Magic Bulk, and I was like, oh, by the way, actually those could be used for making terrain. The sides of these things could be trading cards. They're not, but you could cut up old trading cards. And before you say, oh, you can't cut up trading cards, again, my friend literally threw away like hundreds of Magic cards. I'm assuming it's hundreds. He said all of his Magic Bulk because you can't sell them. They're like, it's like pennies per card, and it's not worth the time it takes to go through them to try and find a card that's worth even $1. It's just not worth it. And these boxes are similar. I think these boxes are one of those things where they're expensive to buy online. Like, not expensive, but you know what I mean. It's like one of those things where if you wanted to collect them, they're not cheap, or maybe they are. I haven't actually looked into it, but if you want to get rid of them, it's sort of difficult because no one wants them. It's like if you want them, you have to pay money, but if you want to get rid of them, you can't even give them away. But yeah, these are a possible solution for pre-made boxes, but it would be pretty obvious to anyone who plays trading card games, so maybe add some extra smaller boxes on the sides to like bulk them out a little bit, but then they take up a lot more space. So again, not a perfect solution, but I'm about to show you guys some maybe better solutions coming up. Okay, so here I have what I think is going to be probably the easiest, the best solution for getting pre-made boxes for just the average person. And that is tabletop gaming boxes. I'm gonna have to a lot of breath here from lifting these. I swear I'm physically fit, or at least I was before winter. Anyway, let's start with the starter. Start with the starter set, yeah. Sorry, I can't zoom out anymore. This is a D&D starter set. That was when I was interested in playing. I think it was my sister's, and then I ended up with it. She doesn't need it. She actually made her own RPG. So anyway, this has almost nothing in it. It's like all empty space. I wonder, there are some things missing here. I wonder if it's mostly empty space, because there were dice in there, so they had to make it thick enough to include the dice. And then I wonder if the extra empty space was to so you could store any other supplements you get as you get into the D&D hobby. Anyway, the box lid is sort of torn up here. But this could be easily be fixed with like 1 or 2 layers of paper, and I glue those down, hit it with some Mod Podge to, extra reinforce it. And the thing is, the terrain pieces I have already have these vertical things on them. So if I just have a wider, thing that juts out, I think that'd look totally fine. Again, like all my terrain is painted dark gray, so it'll all blend together anyway. But yeah, I think this is definitely a solution. Unless you want the box to store your role-playing stuff. Anyway, next box. I got Star Wars The Clone Wars. I got this because, one, I like Star Wars, and I do miniature painting. And also, I do play Star Wars Legion. I haven't shown my army on the channel yet. But anyway, this was like $60 when I paid for it. And look at all the character models it comes with. Star Wars Legion currently is doing 2 characters for $40. And that's like $20 per character. It's technically double the value of like Warhammer 40,000 character models, more or less. They're like 35 to 45 or whatever, but it's still sort of a spicy tamale, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's still sort of a bit of a pill to swallow. You do get 2 characters per box, but for Star Wars Legion characters that are sold separately, but like 11, sorry, took me a while. I'm bad at arithmetic. 11 like well-known characters from Star Wars The Clone Wars for $60. That's a pretty good steal. I had to buy this, and then it also comes with these battle droid miniatures that are like not to scale with everything else, so that's fun. But anyway, the thing is, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to play this game. I might just rip the miniatures out and just throw away everything else. Maybe that might be a bit of a waste, so maybe I'll just put the board and because the thing is, if the box doesn't have the miniatures in it, it doesn't need to be as thick as it is. So if I was taking the miniatures out of the box, and then I like the box would take up a lot of extra space for just the paper product, probably. So I'd probably just put the paper stuff into a separate container or containers, and then I'd have the box left over. And yeah, it does have some really cool art on it, but I think this would serve me better as a pre-made box for wargaming terrain. I could literally take these, use them for Star Wars Legion, assuming they're a similar scale. They might not be, so who knows? Actually, looking at the size of the miniature per the card, they might be a little too small. They'll still be fun to paint. I haven't actually opened it. But, yeah, like this box would be perfect for, painting up, using as a pre-made box. And speaking of Star Wars Legion, the actual starter box for Star Wars Legion, I got this one on sale at a hobby shop because I thought it'd be fun to take the Rebels and include them in a 40k Astra Militarum army. Just have, Star Wars Rebels with my Astra Militarum. I think that'd be hilarious. I'm not playing at Games Workshop stores, so it doesn't matter. And then the Clone Troopers, I don't know what I'm going to do with those. This was on sale, so I think it was like 40% off. But anyway, yeah, once I use all the miniatures, I'm probably going to store them in a magnetic tray, and then I just have the box left over. And the box does have this interesting, like, grid texture on it of all these, like, each one of these squares is a 4x4 grid of tiny dots or tiny holes. I think you see that a lot on very nice quality boxes for like tabletop games. Actually, I think Fantasy Flight has a lot of the boxes like that with this texture. But anyway, yeah, this box would be great for making a pre-made box. Or it is a pre-made box, great for wargaming terrain. How tall is it? Let me see how tall it is. I'm just rambling at this point. 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. It's almost exactly 4 inches tall. That's a nice round number of inches. So yeah, whoops. I totally recommend that. If you are playing Star Wars Legion, and it would work for like, Star Wars Legion terrain, you would have to make some staircases or something to like get your miniatures up there, maybe ladders. But yeah, that would totally work. And this one is just some generic game I'm never going to play because I don't have time to learn a skirmish game. This game has a lot of stuff in it, a lot of complex rules and stuff. I'm not really into learning new games. I think I'll keep the stuff for now. Let me know in the comments if you think it might be worth it to like try out the game at least. I don't need to like turn this into terrain right now, so I can wait a year or two. It's fine. I bought this. This was half off. I think it was 50 something dollars, and it was on sale for 27. And I want the skeletons, so I bought all the skeletons, and I don't care about the rest, just the skeletons. All these skeletons for like 27 bucks. 10 bucks for the character model means 17 bucks for the skeletons. It's not the worst deal ever, and I do get these as well. So, but yeah, I am thinking of turning this into terrain. The art does look pretty cool, actually. Okay, special bonus tip for anyone who's made it this far in the video. Trading card tins. Yeah, it's not just boxes. Trading card tins can also be used for miniature stuff. Specifically, you can store a whole bunch of magnetized miniatures in these. This miniature is made of pewter. Anyway, yeah, I got a whole bunch of... These are just random one-off, like, fantasy miniatures I've painted. And I didn't have any dedicated storage for them, but yeah, turns out trading card tins, like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon have had tins in the past. I don't know if they still make tins, but anyone, like these tins, you know, I think people also don't like them. They're not very great at storing the cards. So trading card people don't exactly want them unless they collect them. But, like, this is great for skirmish gaming. Kill Team, Warcry, if anyone still plays that. Trench Crusade, maybe Necromunda, I don't know. Maybe Star Wars Shatterpoint, I don't know. Battletech, if you put magnets on the bottom, this would be great for Battletech. But yeah, just a little bonus thing for you guys. These things are great. You can also maybe put miniatures on the lid, but they tend to have a design in them, so maybe not. Anyway, getting back to those sweet, sweet pre-made boxes. We got more pre-made boxes. Because as it turns out, they don't have to be big; they can be small. And it's like, well, what am I going to use all these nerd boxes for? Well, I've actually already shown them. My scatter terrain. That's right. Now, this is actually one piece. But my scatter terrain here is just made of nerd boxes. I glued them shut. I glued them together. I primed them and painted them. There are actually coins glued in the bottom, and I definitely didn't sand the coins because defacing currency is illegal, so I did not sand any coins to increase their adhesion, so they would glue to the bottom of these things. But anyway, yeah, these things are now hard to tip over. Very, very solid. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's a nerd still in here. It must have been trapped until it got knocked loose, and it really bothers me. I don't even know which box it's in. It's like the middle or bottom one. But anyway, a whole lot more of these crate-like boxes are coming in the future. And yes, I do have a bit of a sugar problem. I'm trying to work on that. But you know what? If I don't give in to my cravings a little bit, I tend to overeat stuff that doesn't satisfy my cravings, and that's really bad. So I pulled this out of the garbage at my local hobby shop. Anyway, I also got these. Again, sugar is not good for you. It's not good for your teeth either. It's actually not great. But you know what? Sugar does light up the same parts of your brain that certain other chemicals do. So it's not a matter of willpower. It's sugar addiction's a thing. But anyway, these things, these candy sticks that are not at all fake cigarettes, not at all, from Halloween. Yeah, they don't look the best, but you know what? You could make a large structure out of these, and from a distance it would look good. Maybe, or you can have some like Roman aqueducts, or like maybe just like the side of a skyscraper. Just stack these up and have like a, you know, something. At the very least, because of the thickness, it doesn't look like just cereal box was slapped onto something. So, you know. And I can always recycle these in the future if I don't use them or if I don't like them. They're very cheap. And it would be very time consuming to make something of a similar size from scratch. These are all like, you know, they're all pre-cut, they're all pre-made. So, pre-made boxes, saving you time on detailing other pre-made boxes. Anyway, something else I want to mention before I wrap up the video is that Ravage Star also makes some really nice pre-made boxes. I haven't opened it, but I can tell just by looking and feeling the box, feeling how sturdy it is, looking at, you know, the edge underneath the film, plastic film. this is definitely one of those really nice sturdy boxes. So yeah, if you have any of the larger, I don't know about the smaller characters, like the smaller boxes, but the medium and large boxes are definitely those that, you know, that nice thicker cardboard stuff. So this would also make, actually, let's see how wide it is. Less than 2 inches, but that just means you can add, you know, stuff to the top to add more texture, and then it'll be 2 inches. So yeah. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. I know I did ramble a bit. I am thinking of using this kind of video format going forwards in the future, except for tutorials and previously recorded stuff. I have like at least 5 videos worth of pre-recorded like footage and stuff, so I'm gonna have to, like, you know, have a scripted stuff for that, fully edited stuff for that. But for going in the future, I'm gonna go with this format. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Should I ramble less? Is there something you prefer me to do? I don't know. Anyway, that's it for pre-made boxes. Yeah, and let me know in the comments if you've done or want to do anything with pre-made boxes to get some easy, quick wargaming terrain on the table that you can then expand upon with more detailed stuff in the future. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Until then, have a good one.